Hi guys, Frank here with Build Your Own, and this beautiful high-performance German sedan is a 2003 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG Kompressor. The compressor, spelled with a K, means this 5.4-liter V8 engine is supercharged and making all the right noises. This is one of my all-time favorite cars, and I am so very happy to be able to A, get up close and personal with this car, and B, be able to offer it on my channel so we can all look at it and enjoy it. Real quick, look at the condition of this car. Now you think, okay, this is a 03, so you know this car is 17 years old. It's been around for a minute. It's in really good condition. But here's the thing, this car has 223,000 miles on it. Yeah, 223,000 miles on it, and look how impeccably clean it is. This car is in great shape. It looks good on the other side too. I've only been looking at the one side, but it looks great on the other side, on this side as well. The wheels are great. This owner, he's had the car since 2005. When he bought the car, it only had 5,000 miles on it. So he's put all the miles on this car at the end of the day. This 2003 Mercedes-Benz E55 AMG is in Iridium Silver, and it's a honey of an example, especially considering that it has over 223,000 miles on the odometer, and look at the condition that it's in. Oh, real quick before we get started, I want to tell you that I used to own a 1999 Mercedes E55, actually two of them, and I missed those cars so much I wrote the best, most detailed review of the W210 Mercedes E55 on my website, BillPriceOption.com. If you love old school E-Class AMGs like I do, then you'll enjoy the article. I'll put a link down in the description below. Make sure you read that article after you watch this video. I also did a build and price review of the 2020 Mercedes-AMG E63 sedan. That's the very most current version of what we're looking at right now today. So I'll put a link to that video down in the description below as well. So after you watch this review, go ahead and check out that video too. Let's have a little bit of a little lesson, a little AMG lesson on the E-Class Mercedes. So the first really fast E-Class Mercedes was the 500e. It was a W124 chassis, and that car was a collaboration between Mercedes and Porsche, and that car is, everybody loves that car. That car's got a cult following. That car is super cool. After that car came the car that I talked about, the W210 Mercedes E55 AMG. That car was around from 1999 to 2002. It had a normally aspirated V8 engine that put out about 349-ish horsepower, yeah, and 391 pound-feet of torque, right? And it was a lot more powerful than that W124 500e. As great and as legendary as that car was, the E55 W210 was a much faster car. So when it came time to replacing that E55, all right, AMG was forced to turn up the dial a few notches, right? The W210 was a pretty tough act to follow as far as I'm concerned. I had two of those cars and they were super awesome. So when they came out with this car, they decided they were going to go with forced induction. So this car's got the 5.4-liter V8, and then it's got forced induction, which means it has a supercharger on it. And as we look in the engine bay of this 2003 Mercedes E55 AMG Kompressor, we can see that the supercharger sits right here. That is the supercharger for this car. So they increased the horsepower dramatically when they added the supercharger. So like I said, the previous generation of this car, it made 349 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. That was the W210 E55. With this power plant right here, now we're looking at 469 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. To give you a little bit of idea of how much torque this engine actually makes, in 2003, the Ford F350 6-liter diesel truck made 550 pound-feet of torque, okay? So this Mercedes makes almost as much torque as a diesel truck, honestly. Yep, those numbers are impressive. 469 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, this car is definitely a Autobahn rocket for sure. But Mercedes really needed those numbers because the competition from Audi and BMW was fierce. Audi had the RS6, which made 450 horsepower, and BMW's M5 at the time was making 400 horsepower. So yeah, Mercedes had to bring all of this to the table just to compete. Now, it is worth noting that this particular engine does come in a few different trim levels. This engine did make more horsepower. If you happen to have an SL55, the SL55 had more horsepower than the E55. I think the SLs had like 400 and like just under 500 horsepower. Then they have like 480, 490 something horsepower. I'll definitely put up a bubble to get that exact number right, but they were putting out just a little bit more power than the E55, and Mercedes claims that the reason for that is that the E55 had a more restrictive exhaust. So that would lead one to believe that you might be able to get SL55 numbers out of this car just by maybe getting a more freer flowing exhaust. Yeah, so some of the things they did to make this car as awesome as it is, they fitted this car with an airmatic adjustable suspension with sports tuning, which gave the E55 poise in the bends, right? It's got 14.2 inch 8-piston calipers hidden behind huge 5-spoke AMG wheels, all right? And the wheels, speaking of the wheels, the back wheels right here, these are, let's see, the front tires, the front wheels are 245 width. We got 245 width tires in the front, and we've got the 265 width tire in the back. And what size tires are these? I think they're 18-inch rims. Yeah, we got a 265/35 ZR18 in the back. Then you have the beautiful quad tip exhaust, right? You're only gonna find the quad tip exhaust on the E55, right? The E500 does get a dual exhaust, but it's one singular exhaust on each side, if I remember correctly. So at glance, unless somebody's modified the car, it's very easy to see an E55 from the back and know what it is based on the exhaust. And you could just see that ride height. You just see how this car just sits. It just has that right rake. And to me, it just looks like it sits up just a little bit higher in the back than it does in the front, which I like that. I like that look a lot, right? You got just a little bit of gap in between the wheels right there, which I really like. And that's just nice. You got the Continentals, he's got the Continental tires on here, right? Looks very, very, very good. Beautiful, beautiful car. So let's get back to some more specs. So how fast was this car? How fast could this car go? What was the 0 to 60? Well, the 0 to 60 was taken care of in 4.3 seconds. This car could do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. And even though this car has 223,000 miles on it, I bet you this car is not that far off that mark. I bet you it really isn't. 100 miles an hour came in only 5.5 seconds, and this car could do the quarter mile in 12.5 seconds. And for sedans, those were numbers at the time. For sedans, those were numbers that challenged the Corvette Z06. And yeah, and honestly, even though sedans have gotten even faster than this, those numbers in this sedan are still impressive. This car can very easily hold its own, to me, in my opinion, against any modern car, honestly. Because if you happen to have a W211 E55, and they only made these from like 2003 to 2006, okay? And because even though the body style stayed the same from 2007, 8, and 9, they changed the engine. Then they got a naturally aspirated engine. So they only made this particular trim level for 4 years, 2003, 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, if you got one of these and you don't think that you have enough horsepower, there are companies out there like Rentec and all that you can certainly wick this horsepower up a lot more if you want to spend that kind of money. The 2003, 4, 5, and 6 Mercedes E55 AMG Kompressor, those cars were mated to the speed shift 5-speed automatic transmission, which had a torque capacity of 796 pound-feet of torque. As that newer 7G Tronic that they introduced in 2003 was limited to 542 horsepower, and I guess they just felt that was too close to the limit with this car, so they just never put that 7G transmission in the E55. I'm sure the E350, the E500, the diesel variants, all those, I'm sure all those came with that 7G transmission. But this one, speed shift, 5-speed transmission. You can't have a super fast car like this E55 without talking about like the suspension. So let's talk about the suspension, the brakes, the wheels and tires in a little more detail. So obviously this is an AMG car, and as such it came with an AMG tuned aromatic suspension with 3 different drive modes, as well as the ability to significantly raise the car. The E55 featured 14.2-inch cross drill rotors in the front. Those are 8 piston calipers, and then in the back they're 13-inch discs and 4 piston calipers. All right, and like I said, up front you got 245 40/18s up front for tires, and you've got 265 35 18-inch wheels in the back, and these particular wheels are what's known as the AMG 18-inch split spoke wheels. These wheels are pretty nice. Now, I'm a fan of monoblocks. I don't know if you know what a monoblock is. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up a picture of a monoblock. Monoblocks are what you found on the W210, and they still made monoblocks into 2003, I think. Maybe on the CLK. Maybe not. Maybe by the time they went to these split spokes, that's when they changed it. But I'm still a big fan of the monoblock wheel. But these split spokes, there's nothing wrong with them. What's really cool about this E55 is that it's subtle. It's really, really subtle. I mean, you could look at an E350, or you could look at a Mercedes E500 of the time, and if you didn't really know what you were looking at, they kind of all sort of look the same. You know, this car does have some exterior enhancements that make it an AMG. You know, you've got your front, your front bumper down here. This is definitely AMG specific. You got your side sills down here. You've got your spoiler back here. But the thing is that you could have gotten an E350 or an E500 with an AMG Sport kit, and then once you did that, they almost look the same. So that's what's kind of cool. I think that's about German sedans like this, is they fly under the radar. They're not trying to say, hey, look at me, look how fast I am. But yeah, so a lot of restraint seen on the exterior with this sedan. It looks fast, but it's very, very subtle, and it doesn't really call a lot of attention to itself. Boy, you look around a new Mercedes now, and they are just absolutely gorgeous and just amazing. And that's not to say that the interior of this 03 isn't. Manufacturers just didn't do interiors like they do them now. This interior here is, again, just like the exterior. It's got a lot of restraint. It's not very flamboyant. There's nothing wrong with it, but you got nice leather interior, beautiful leather seats, perforated leather seats. And you know what? This car still smells wonderful. It still smells brand new in here. What I liked about these is you had rear seat climate control for your passengers. What I noticed is in 2010, when they came out with the new E-Class, this kind of went away for a while. Now you can find that, but this kind of went away, and I thought that was a nice feature. I thought the W211 was had a really nice interior. These seats feel very, very firm. And the seats have, obviously the back seats always wear better than the front seats, but we can look at the driver's seat, and the driver's seat looks great. And like I said, this car has 223,000 miles on it and change. Now, I've talked to this owner before, and he's had to do some work on it, but this car has not had any major catastrophes. Nothing major has gone wrong with this car. 03 E55 was loaded. Here's the dynamic seats. These are the dynamic seats. So apparently what that really means is when you're turning, the opposite bolsters will bolster up to keep you in place so you don't slide around in the seats. I had an opportunity to drive a 2011 Mercedes S550 that had dynamic seats, and so that was pretty cool. I really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, here's this car has got here's your driving modes. Here's your 3 different modes that you have for driving. Here we have, I guess, maybe the ability to raise the car up a little bit. And yeah, this is just your parking sensors and all that. So pretty standard fare for Mercedes circa 2003, but this car is going to be as loaded as you can get. And I do know that this car actually has a digital speedometer, and if you watch my channel, you know I love digital speedometers. So yeah, like I said, the interior is similarly understated, just like the exterior of the E55. With that said, we've got black bird's eye maple trim. This trim here along the doors and along the dashboard and all that, that's what you call black bird's eye maple trim. This is the sports steering wheel. We've got AMG badging in the car right? We have some AMG badging. I don't really see any AMG badging in the car specifically, but we have it around the car like that. AMG badging, sculpted 10-way adjustable sport bucket seats, complete with 4 air chambers and coil spring suspension to increase comfort during spirited drives. So yeah, the seats, they're serious. Fully function moonroof there that tilts up, it slides back, it does all that stuff there. You could even set up your roof rails if you gotta do your luggage carriers and all that. I would never put something like that on this car, and I'm pretty sure this car's never had it. But yeah, they're there if you want to do such a thing. Now, obviously, this is a top tier E55 Mercedes. This car was very expensive in 2003, so naturally, it features the full complement of amenities, such as 4-zone climate control and Harman Kardon Logic 7 digital surround audio system. High-tech options include a keyless go smart key system, Distronic adaptive cruise control, solar power ventilation system, Parktronic parking assist. We saw that button down there by the shifter. Let's see, what else is there? Drive dynamic seats. Yeah, we talked about those dynamic seats that adjust bolstering to driving conditions, and that panorama roof. Well, this one actually does not have the panoramic roof. The panoramic roof would be like this dual pane. It'd be a dual panel, and maybe they didn't offer that in 2003. Maybe it was an option. I'm not sure. At any rate, this particular model does not have that roof, and that's okay with me. I'm not necessarily a sunroof guy anyway, and so one is enough for me. I guess I do stand corrected. There is some AMG badging on the interior, right? You've got your AMG specific floor mats. You got your AMG door sills. Yeah, here's your Harman Kardon stereo. Here's your trunk release, which we haven't taken a look at the trunk. Here's all your controls for your windows, 3-person memory seating. You've got your controls for your side mirrors and all of that there. What do the back doors look like? The back doors, you just really have a window control and what looks to be an ashtray or a garbage can or something like that. You've got classic door pockets on the back of the front, I'm sorry, seat pockets on the back of the front seats on the Mercedes. They look good. They don't look like anybody's ever really put anything in there. They don't look stretched out at all. Just have a look around in the trunk there. Wow, look how clean everything is. Look how clean everything is. When we call the owner up today and we're just like, hey, can we possibly come out and look at the car? He's like, well, it's not too clean. It's very clean, isn't it? It's very clean. It's very clean. Thank you, Stuart. And you got the power trunk closed, and it does work quite fast too. Boom, there it goes. With authority, it slammed down. Good thing my hand wasn't in there. So yeah, beautiful car. I don't even see any blemishes on this car, do you? I don't see any blemishes on this car. Even the front end looks pretty good. This owner decided not to put a license plate in the front. His mesh looks pretty good. Everything looks good. The lights are great. They're not even oxidized or anything. The fog lights look pretty good. Beautiful, beautiful car. So yeah, I think we've discovered just about everything we can about this 2003 E55 Mercedes, the V8 compressor. Right, nice car. Does not have soft closed doors though. See, I barely latched that soft closed door to pull that all the way in. That's okay. I don't think they offered that in 2003, and if they did, that would have been on that BMW 745 that had just come out. What I do think is cool is I love these vents. I love these vents right here. If you had to sit in the back and say it's hot or cold, man, it's nice to have that vent right there. It's also nice to have those vents in the center, but that's usually where it stops, are the vents in the center there. I love these vents on the B pillar. Very cool. All right, well, that's that. Like I said, I think we've learned everything we really need to know about the 2003 Mercedes E55 AMG. Right, beautiful car. Like I said, I did an in-depth article on the W210, so if you're a fanboy of E-Class AMGs like I am, definitely read that article. Also, I did a build and price review of the 2020 E63S. That's the big fast one. That's the fastest one, the fastest, most expensive one they make. I did the build and price on that. If you're a fanboy of E-Class and AMG Mercedes, you're going to want to check out that video too. All right, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. If you found this review helpful, informative, or entertaining, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Until then, I'm going to tell you to have a very nice day, and I'll see you on the very next video.